Saving Private Ryan is regarded as one of the biggest and best war movies of all time. But how much of what is in Saving Private Ryan is actually realistic, or is a lot of it Hollywood wibble? Let's find out. But before we get into that, we need to go over the film itself before we get into what's realistic and what isn't. So what do I think of this film then? Is it a good film? Yeah, it's a great film. And to me, Saving Private Ryan is up there with some of the greatest war films of all time, simply for the fact that it makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel uncomfortable because you know part of you thinks that how much of this is real, which we'll get onto later on, don't worry about that, but how much of it is real? And you're feeling the feelings of what those sorts of men might be going under, just in a glimpse of it. You'll never actually feel, like when you watch Schindler's List, you'll never know what those scared individuals are feeling like. And same here. We're just seeing a glimpse, and with those camera shots being as close as to those soldiers as you possibly can get it, to feeling like you're in the battle with them, you're getting a glimpse of the feelings they might be feeling. A bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of panic, a little bit of confusion. These sorts of things were escalating through these men soldiers before they left those boats, when they were dropped on the beach, on the Omaha Beach, and then had to work their way forward. And a lot of those men were dispensable and died, unfortunately. And that's what this film shows, the brutality of it all, that a lot of these men, these young men, had fatally been shot down and been killed or blown up by landmines. It is one of those occasions where this film shows the brutality of that, especially that first 20 to 30 minutes, that unbearable watch of, oh my God, this is serious stuff, and how many people actually died. And you see in as well in those first 20 to 30 minutes of brothers in arms dragging each other and not realizing that that person has sadly died, or they're just trying to panic, get through the situation. A lot of the times they weren't able to progress. They were sat and stuck in positions because heavy fire. And I think that's what this managed to show with that D-Day landing. The actual story of Saving Private Ryan, which is the thing which, after the first 20-30 minutes, where it evolves into something a little bit different and a little bit unique, which is the idea that Captain Miller was tasked with a seemingly weird sort of task which you wouldn't normally see, which is that he had to go through enemy fire just to find Private Ryan, who is a individual not of massive importance. He's just another soldier, but the reason why they're trying to find him is because his brothers have passed away in other fields of war, and they want to send him home because at the end of the day, his mother will be receiving letters for all his other brothers that have died, and they didn't want it on in their conscience that he would get added to that list. And I think it was a great sort of story, seeing them go through all the sacrifice, go through all the pain of losing other parts of their brotherhood. But all this went in favour to get Private Ryan home. And by the end of the film, when everything's said and done, it was a great sort of ending of seeing him then return to the grave, knowing that Captain Miller helped him get home in one way, shape or form, and seeing him look at that grave now going, I've got a family, I've got a life, and thanks to Captain Miller sacrificing his life, he was able to have that. That was a great story. So what was actually real? Well, on D-Day, this is what D-Day looked like. The 20-30 minutes that you see at the start of this film, veterans say, is that realistic? That some of them watched it and got flashbacks and visualized and had trauma from the day that they actually went on to the Normandy beaches or the Omaha beaches, and had to face that level of fear and anxiety, and it sent them back. That shows how realistic that first 20 to 30 minutes is. And I think what is also realistic in that sense is the amount of casualties that you see, the way that people die, and the brutality of it all. I think that is all realistic. And in that as well, that even the story is kind of based off a true story with the Nyland brothers of Edward, Preston, Robert and Frederick. But it's obviously different from Private Ryan's story. But those four brothers end up going down to one, which was Frederick, as he lost all his brothers in war. And when he was out on the front line, he was recalled simply for the fact that under the Military Sole Survivor Act, they were able to save him and let him go home, because obviously they felt guilty that most of his family had died, and took him back obviously to his mother or father, whoever was still alive, let him live out his days and hopefully have a life. So speaking on fictionalised stuff, what is actually fictionalised in Saving Private Ryan? Well, Captain Miller is non-existent, he is fictionalised. You've obviously got Private Ryan, he's also fictionalised. You've also got as well the fact that they over Hollywoodize a lot of it. They don't go through enemy fire to go find Private Ryan, the real Private Ryan in Frederick. They just happen to just send him back home. They get a message to him and send him back home. There's none of this, oh, we must go and find him, go through enemy territory. They wouldn't have risked that big of a risk on one person. And also the ending as well, where it's this massive sort of battle, this bridge. Battles like that would have happened. But that particular battle at the end of the film, protecting the bridge, did not happen. And finally, the biggest thing that I think is blatantly obvious to see is that D-Day didn't just involve American soldiers going over onto Omaha beaches or even Normandy or any of the others. It was British, American, French, Canadian, Polish. The list goes on and on. There was plenty of soldiers from different countries which were present at the D-Day landings and witnessed it in several different ways, as paratroopers, as coming on the boats like you're seeing in this film. There's several different ways that people attacked on D-Day, and this only shows from the Americans' point of view. So that's the negative side to this film, is that while it's good in showing how brutal that first 20-30 minutes are of what D-Day was like, it shows it from an American's point of view rather than having what would have been British, French, Canadian sort of soldiers fighting on that front line too. So there you have it, folks. There is our Saving Private Ryan movie review. Let us know your thoughts of this down those comments down below, and I would like to say that I think this is an 8.2 out of 10 and a classic film, to let people know that if you haven't seen this film, you definitely need to go watch it. And I shall see you fine folks in the next one. See you guys next time.